You are 19 years old when Kenji finds you. You're working the closing shift at a pachinko parlor in Shinjuku, sweeping the floor beneath machines that clatter and spin even after the last customer has gone. The neon outside bleeds orange and pink through the frosted glass. Your shoes have a hole in the left sole. You have been wearing the same 2 shirts in rotation for 6 weeks. You don't complain about this. You don't complain about anything. That is something Kenji notices. He is sitting in the back booth when you think the place is empty. A man in his mid-40s, silver watch, charcoal suit, a stillness about him that doesn't belong in a room full of noise machines. He watches you sweep. He says nothing for 3 minutes. Then he asks if you know who owns this building. You tell him you don't. He tells you that's fine. He says he's been watching you for 2 weeks. Not you specifically, the shift, the work, the way you move. He says most young men your age who work jobs like this are either lazy or afraid. He says you are neither. He says he has a different kind of work if you're interested. He slides a card across the table, plain white, a phone number, nothing else. You pick it up. You don't know yet that you have just made the most consequential decision of your life. The first 6 months are nothing like what you imagined. There is no ceremony, no dramatic induction. You show up at an address in Kabukicho at 8 in the morning and a man named Taka hands you a mop. The office above the bar needs cleaning. The back room needs organizing. There are boxes that need moving, and a car that needs washing, and an errand that needs running. And you will be paid 12,000 yen at the end of the day in cash. And you will come back tomorrow. You come back every day. You learn quickly that the Yakuza is not a movie. It is a business. A large, meticulously organized business that operates inside the economy the way a parasite lives inside a host invisible to. Most essential to some, impossible to remove. The bar you clean launders money from 3 construction contracts. The construction contracts are awarded through a city councilman who has been on the organization's payroll for 9 years. The councilman does not know your name. You do not need to know his. Your job at this level is simple. You do what you are told, exactly as you are told to do it, without asking why. You collect envelopes from restaurants on 2 streets in Kabukicho. You deliver packages you are told not to open. You stand outside a certain door on certain nights and tell people who knock that the room is occupied. You are never told what happens inside. You don't ask. The money is modest. 30,000 yen a week. Enough. You move out of the room you share with 2 other men and into a small apartment in Aikibukuro. You buy a second pair of shoes. A good coat. You eat real food every day for the first time in years. You call your mother on her birthday. She asks if you found a real job. You tell her yes. You tell her it's logistics. 14 months in, Taka takes you to a small restaurant in Ginza that doesn't have a sign. There are 6 men at the table. You recognize 2 of them from the office. The others are older, quieter, wearing suits that cost more than your rent. Kenji, the man from the pachinko parlor, is at the head of the table. He looks at you the way a craftsman looks at a piece of wood he is deciding whether to carve. He tells you that you are being given a brother. This is how the Yakuza elevates. Not with titles shouted in a hall, with a meal, with a conversation, with an obligation that runs in both directions. Your new older brother is a man named Ryusai. He is 31. He has a scar along his left forearm that he does not explain, and you do not ask about. He will teach you, and you will respect him, and you will never embarrass him. And when someone needs to know who you are, you will say his name before yours. Your responsibilities expand. You are now present at certain conversations. You are given a phone that receives calls you must answer within 3 rings regardless of the hour. You begin accompanying Ryusei to meetings sitting against the wall, silent, watching how business is conducted at a slightly higher elevation. You learn what leverage looks like in practice. A man who owns 3 restaurants owes money he cannot pay. Rather than pressure, Ryusei offers a solution. The organization will absorb 30% of the debt in exchange for a quiet ownership stake in one of the restaurants. The man agrees. He leaves the meeting looking relieved. He does not understand that he has just permanently attached himself to something he cannot detach from. You watch this, and you understand it. That is what elevates you. You are making 60,000 yen a week now. You send 20,000 to your mother each month. You tell her it's a bonus. 2 years later, you are the one sitting at the table. Not at the head, not yet, but present. Involved. Your voice carries weight in rooms where it previously carried none. You manage 4-foot soldiers beneath you. You are responsible for their conduct, their earnings, their mistakes. When one of them is late with a collection, it is your credibility that absorbs the impact. You have learned to choose men carefully. The work at this level is less physical and more psychological. You mediate disputes. You negotiate. You are often the person who delivers bad news to someone who doesn't want to hear it. And the way you deliver it determines whether the situation escalates or resolves. You have developed a stillness you didn't used to have, a measured quality in how you speak. People have started noticing it. You are also now aware of more of the structure, the construction operations, the real estate acquisitions that quietly occupy specific parcels in 3 wards, the network of lawyers and accountants who process money through legitimate channels with surgical precision. The money moves up through layers like water through rocks, slowly and visibly emerging clean. One night, Ryusei asks you to handle something alone for the first time. A businessman owes 3 million yen on a loan that has been extended twice. He has become difficult. Ryusei gives you an address, a time, and tells you to resolve it however you think best. No further instruction. You sit with this for a night. In the morning, you go to the man's office, not his home, his office, because you understand that confronting a man where his employees can see changes the dynamic. You tell him quietly and without theater that the money is due by Friday. You tell him that continued extensions are creating paperwork that draws attention nobody wants. You tell him you would personally prefer a clean resolution. You leave without touching him. He wires the money Thursday morning. When you tell Ryusei, he nods once. That nod is worth more than a promotion certificate. You are 26 when Kenji calls you into his private office for the second time in your life. The first time, you were 19 with a hole in your shoe. Now you sit across from him in a room with a view of the Tokyo skyline, wearing a suit that took 3 fittings. You have lost the nervous energy of your youth. Something quieter has replaced it. Kenji explains that the organization is restructuring 2 districts. A senior member is retiring health reasons. Though you know enough now to understand that health reasons in this world can mean many things. The position requires someone who can manage both operations and relationships simultaneously. Someone the men below will follow and the men above can trust. He says your name has come up more than once. Your salary structure changes entirely. You are no longer paid per week. You receive a percentage of the construction division, of the entertainment revenue, of the loan portfolio. Numbers you were never shown before appear in a ledger that is now partially yours to read. You are managing 43 people across 2 districts. Their problems become your problems. Their conflicts become yours to arbitrate. You attend meetings with city officials, with lawyers, with the executives of legitimate companies who require your organization's particular form of business development. You have 3 phones. You sleep 6 hours if you are lucky. You also begin to understand the invisible cost of this life. You have not had a relationship that lasted more than 4 months since you were 19. Not because you don't want one, because you can't explain your life to someone outside it, and you cannot bring someone inside it without putting them in a position they don't understand. You have friends from before who have slowly stopped calling because you never call back. Your mother thinks you work in property development. She is proud. She doesn't ask questions. You are grateful and hollow about this in equal measure. You are making more money than you ever imagined. You spend almost none of it on yourself. It accumulates in accounts you don't look at often, because looking at it requires thinking about how it was made. At 31, you are close enough to the top to feel the weight of it. There is only Kenji above you now, and Kenji is 63, and his health has quietly become a topic among the senior men. Though never directly, because directness about this would imply ambition. And public ambition in this organization is a very particular kind of danger. At your level, the work is almost entirely invisible. You are not collecting envelopes. You are not standing outside doors. You are managing a system. You know where every significant financial flow originates and terminates. You know which politicians are connected and which are simply sympathetic. You know which police commanders receive envelopes at the end of each quarter and which are genuinely unreachable. You know the difference between the two, because that distinction, knowing exactly who can be approached and who cannot, is what separates people at your level from people who end up in prisons or rivers. You have also, for the first time, made an enemy. His name is Daisuke. He came up through a different branch, different district, a different older brother. He is capable and politically intelligent, and he wants the same future you are moving toward. The tension between you is never open. It is expressed through resource allocation, through which of your men receives preferential access to opportunities, through small decisions made in meetings where both of you happen to be present. You have not threatened him, and he has not threatened you. But you both understand that only one of you will ultimately occupy what is coming. This understanding lies beneath every conversation you have. You don't sleep well for 6 months. Then Kenji calls you in and tells you he has decided. He has watched you both for years. He has made his choice. He uses very few words. He was never a man who used many words. The room you walk out of is the same one you walked into at 19. The neon of the city blinks through the window. You stand there for a moment alone, and you think about the boy sweeping the pachinko floor. You barely recognize him. Power at this level is almost nothing like people imagine it to be. There is no throne. There is no moment when the world bows before you. There is only responsibility, absolute, constant, and without exit. You are the final decision on everything. A dispute between two district leaders in Saitama that has been escalating for 3 months reaches your desk because no one beneath you can resolve it without your authority. A legitimate business partnership in Osaka is threatening to collapse because the man on the other side has become aware, through careless conversation, of exactly who his partners are. A government investigation, quiet still, early still, but present, is probing financial activity in the construction sector. These 3 things arrive on the same morning. You handle them in sequence. The dispute is resolved through a restructuring of territory that gives each side something without giving either side everything. The Osaka situation requires a meeting you attend personally, in which you are direct in a way that younger men in this organization cannot afford to be. Because at your level, directness is not arrogance, it is simply efficiency. The investigation you do not handle. You give the relevant information to a lawyer whose job it is to create distance between financial transactions and their origins. He does not ask questions. That is what you pay for. By noon, all 3 situations are contained. You eat lunch alone at a restaurant you own. You eat the same thing you have eaten there for 5 years. The owner bows when you arrive. The staff move with a particular quality of attention. You sit by the window and you watch the street and you think about what you are. You are 61 men's livelihoods. You are the final word on whether a conflict becomes something worse or resolves quietly. You are the reason 14 legitimate businesses exist that would not exist otherwise, employing 300 people who do not know your name. You are also, depending on which law you apply, a criminal, a significant one. These 2 truths do not cancel each other out. They coexist inside you the way 2 currents run through the same river, parallel, separate, and together. Daisuke never became an enemy. He runs the Saitama operation with a precision that you respect. You have dinner twice a year. You do not discuss the past. Manager level don't live there. There is a younger man, 23, a hole in his shoe, the first time you saw him, who reminds you of yourself enough to be worth watching. He doesn't know you've been watching for 4 months. He thinks he's just the new kid who does. The closing shift. You think about calling him in. You think about whether that is a gift or a sentence. You finish your lunch. You put on your coat. You step out into the street and the city moves around you the way it always has, indifferent, enormous, and full of people who have no idea what is flowing through it beneath the surface. You have never considered leaving. You wouldn't know how.